Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Today, the Assembly Minority Leader and Las Vegas's favorite reporter on the Boulevard. Scott Craigie's got the rundown.
We'll start out this morning with Assembly Republican leader Lynn Hettrick, and we're going to talk taxes, spending, and government rebates with him. And then Las Vegas Review-Journal columnist John Smith is going to come on board and tell us that, you know, the real CSI in Las Vegas is having troubles. We're going to cover both of those topics and a lot more on Newsmakers.
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Marlene, Lockard, Liz MacMenamin, and Alfredo Alonso. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And with great pleasure, we welcome to the program Lynn Hettrick, who is the Assembly Minority Leader. We welcome you to the program, sir.
Thank you.
You fought so hard against the tax increase in the last session. And now we've seen that a lot of what you were talking about has come true. We've got this huge surplus. The governor talked about a rebate, but we're not hearing a lot now from folks down in the legislature that they want to give the money back. What's your position on this?
Well, I think your point is well made, that the fight was huge. And when it got to where you had 2/3 at least in both houses, all those people took a lot of slings and arrows to pass a tax. And while I disagreed with parts of it and so on, the fact is the tax is passed, and now it's out there. Nobody's going to be real excited about going backward and saying, no, now I want to reverse my vote and give the money back, or we don't need it, or whatever. So I think it's going to be very difficult to do a rebate.
Well, if you're not going to do the rebate, I assume that something has to be done in order to head off an initiative petition that makes either like a Proposition 13 out of California property tax change. Property taxes have gone up a lot. All of the business taxes that were done. If you're going to take the steam out of that, I mean, that is the threat. What kind of alternatives are there?
Well, Scott, you know very, very well that the one-time surplus money would go out and be one check, $300 per vehicle or whatever, and that's not going to solve the property tax issue. So what's going to have to take the steam out of the property tax initiative petition is to do something meaningful to cap property tax increases. And I believe there's an appetite to do that, but I see a backing away now by the counties. Initially, Mark Schofield, the assessor from Clark, came out and said, we have to do this. There are going to be huge numbers of protests. We've got to move forward on this thing. I think counties bought in quickly and said, yes, we've got the same problem. Now it seems like the counties are backing away. Schofield took a lot of heat, a lot of publicity about it, and I think they're backing away. I think it's a huge mistake.
If I can follow up on that, if you do property taxes, there are really only two things that you can do. If you use that hardship loophole, I guess it was an initiative that was done, so you have flexibility. You have to basically do homes that are residential homes, probably with the owners living in them. If you do something bigger, you have to lower property taxes for the railroads and the gamers and the big casinos, as well as homeowners. Both of those seem to not address the needs of like Incline Village and people in Douglas County and people in the bigger homes where the prices are skyrocketing as well. Would that actually stop or head off an initiative petition, either one of those?
We are researching a proposal to cap the bill increase. The bill, not the assessed value, the bill. And if you sit and look at that, what you'll find is that you would leave all of the revenue that's there today before these whopping increases. And you would say, and you'll get 6% more distributed in the same ratio. If you do that, I believe you can do that and take the steam out of an initiative petition, because I think that's enough relief that most people will say, that's fair, that's reasonable, my value's going up, I understand I've got that, I don't get to spend it, but I've got it. And I believe you will take the steam out. Now, am I telling you won't see a petition? No, I think you may see a petition, but I think it will be much more difficult to get the signatures and get it passed on a ballot if we give reasonable, meaningful relief.
With all the growth in gaming, especially in southern Nevada, I mean, we're seeing these huge projects coming online, it seems apparent to me that we're going to see the same kind of successes over the next several years that we've seen in the past year, or past 2 years in Las Vegas. And that would also mean that sales taxes are going to keep going up. Aren't we going to continue to see the same kind of surpluses unless there's some kind of adjustment to the tax rate?
I believe unless we see another 9/11, yes, the economy is going to do very well for at least 2 more years and maybe beyond. As a matter of fact, Sam, without you even knowing it, I have a bill in to take a portion of the payroll tax and apply it to health care for Nevada citizens. And it would be a tax deduction for the employer. It would lower the revenue that would go to the state of Nevada, but it would put it all into the recently federally created health savings accounts and would make health care available to a lot more Nevadans. And I have a bill in to do that. Yes, that would help reduce the surplus.
Okay, so you're a very conservative man. So are we seeing the conservative side of the legislature now moving towards social programs that will help raise the state's level from being 49th, 50th, 51st in a lot of different areas, going upward?
I'll go back to what I told you before. The reality is we're not going to cut taxes. We're not going to remove taxes. The revenue is going to be there. Now the decision is, how do you spend it? If the state of Nevada is going to have the revenue, spend it all, and still have the health care problem that it'll have to deal with, then we're going to be back to raising taxes again. If we take a part of the taxes and put it toward the health care issue, maybe we can stop the future growth of state government, cap it to something reasonable.
You know you're going to drive the editorial board of the Las Vegas Review-Journal insane with your comments.
There's a very unusual thing that happened in the budget proposal that the governor made. On one side, he's proposing to give back $300 million. At the same time, later on, he decides he wants to borrow $100 million to keep the Millennium Scholarships going. Two things. One, paying interest on $100 million that, on the other hand, you're giving away. And two, is it time to admit maybe the Millennium Scholarships in Nevada just aren't going to be forever?
I believe the Millennium Scholarships can go on with adjustment. I think we ought to change it, and perhaps means testing and some other things. I think it is a good program. I think it does help kids who wouldn't otherwise go to college, and I think that's a plus. In terms of the $100 million, I couldn't agree more. I think the $100 million to bond for it, I'm told $100 million would extend the program 10 years. It'll cost 20 years to pay it off. That makes no sense when we have a $300 million surplus. And there are other things that can be funded with that surplus that will actually save Nevadans money. For instance, we need to fund the judge's pension plan. A $20 million investment today, one time, one shot, will save Nevadans $200 million over the next 20 years. We can't afford not to fund something like that. And there are other things out there just like that. We should fund the things with the surplus that will save Nevadans money, not cost them money by borrowing, in my opinion, to fund the Millennium Scholarship.
In the governor's budget, there was a 17% increase for the university system. Jim Rogers, the interim chancellor, wants a 20% increase. Is he going to get anywhere close to that?
It's going to be a feeding frenzy down there, Sam, this time. I mean, there's so much money to spend because of this tax increase in a booming economy that it's going to be a feeding frenzy. Will the university system get to the money they want? I don't know. I think it's going to be a wrestling match between everybody else that wants money. I guess it's how well he can do against the others.
Lynn, you're sounding like a Democrat.
No, I'm not, because I'm a realist. Realism is that we are not going to reduce taxes. Therefore, the only thing we're going to do is spend the money. We better spend the money appropriately if that's what's going to happen. I challenge you to find one person who will come on this show and tell you they're going to propose a bill to reduce the taxes.
Lynn Hettrick, always a pleasure to have you here. And you're welcome all the way through the session anytime.
Thank you.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Sunbelt Communication.
Many of the materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we welcome John L. Smith to the program, on the phone with us from Arizona, correct?
I'm back in Las Vegas
you're back
for
in
another 4 or 5 hours.
Okay, all righty. Glad to have you here. Want to read to you from a letter that was sent from Senator John Ensign to the Inspector General of the U.S. Department of the Interior. And the senator says he's very concerned about a 38-acre Southern Nevada Public Land Management Act piece of land that was sold by the airport in Las Vegas to a real estate broker, a portion of which was quickly resold by the broker at a $5 million profit. Clark County had originally advertised the parcel for sale as restricted for use as a cemetery only. However, no deed restriction limiting the land to use as a cemetery was ever included in the sale, allowing the buyer to resell the land for much more because the value increased without that restrictive clause there.
And John, there are a number of issues that are unique to that particular piece, but you know, John Ensign now has got the Inspector General in it, the county managers open up an investigation, county auditors in it, District Attorney Metro, BLM. The question that I have is this really an isolated case, or is it possible that this is a much larger situation, and that is possible abuse, whether it's this type of thing where they bait and switch what the use would be? Is there a broader case here or issue here than just this one case?
Oh, absolutely. There's a long tradition of this kind of thing, if we take it in a broad brush approach. There's a long tradition of this in southern Nevada where people who have solid connections with hierarchy in city and county government often get their way, you know, in areas that go against the public trust. Here's an aspect of this that is very commonly done here, and we grouse about it in the press, of course, but it rarely gets anything changed, and that is zoning issues. When a zoning issue, although it's not quite as technical an issue as the one that we've been writing about recently, zoning issues are often steamrolled by you know, well-juiced lawyers and power brokers within city and county government, much to the detriment of neighborhoods and of the quality of life here in southern Nevada. As you know, Las Vegas is one of the fastest-growing areas in the country, and it's very difficult to keep up with the latest twist and turn of some of these rezoning issues. Deposed, thankfully, County Commissioner Erin Kenney became notorious for this kind of activity late in her career.
And we know what happened to her.
Yeah.
There was a story you wrote that involved Billy Walters, the golf course developer, and the Greenspan family. Was it a similar situation?
Very, very much so, in my opinion. what occurred basically is there's an old golf course in the Henderson area that is now surrounded by Green Valley Development, which is one of our sparkling plan communities down here. The golf course Walters purchased late last year or early last year for about $9.3 million. It had been for sale by the company that owned it for $15, and they found no buyers. It was basically a 50-year-old broken down golf course. He, of course, is in the golf course business and likes to fix them up and that sort of thing. A few months later, they were in negotiations with the city of Henderson, which suddenly discovered that it had this unquenchable thirst to have its own municipal golf course. So they wrapped up a deal which is about $40 million worth of real estate, developable real estate into housing tracts and commercial development, in exchange for the golf course, which was valued at some $30-some million in terms of their appraisal, plus a $5 million kick-in by Billy Walters and the Greenspun Group. So for the equivalent of basically $14 or $15 million, the Greenspuns and Walters received a minimum of $40 million worth of property, which when developed will have a value of about $140 million.
Quite a deal.
It's nice work if you can get it.
Well, we've got to get to the bottom line on CSI, man. You know, there are a lot of these stories that are a lot of intrigue, but what's going on with the real CSI in Las Vegas, not the television show that Las Vegas has become partly famous for, the CSI?
You bet it has, Scott. And you know, it's interesting. Metro's evidence lab and DNA lab has been completely overwhelmed by this shootout that occurred in 2002 at Laughlin during the river run between the Hells Angels and the Mongols bike gangs. 3 people were killed in the shootout and stabathon, and Metro drew that case because the bodies fell in Nevada. They weren't local boys. But nevertheless, the stress is on the DNA lab. Fortunately for them, they have a woman there who's directing named Linda Ericchetto, who has applied and received grant money in the form of hundreds of thousands of dollars to help send out DNA tests for other homicide cases which occur in southern Nevada on all too regular basis. So they're basically doing that Denny's fry cook thing where you've got 14 pots boiling at once, and they're making it work for now. But it's just one of those areas where southern Nevada's growth has really overwhelmed the system.
Well, John, thank you for bringing the word stabathon into our book. I think that'll be a new nightclub, don't you think? Listen, I can't let you go without following up. Your daughter Amelia has been talked about on this program now for a long time, and we'd like to get an update on her health.
Sure, I'd be glad to tell you. Amelia finished her chemotherapy following her brain tumor surgery. She finished her chemotherapy about 2.5 weeks ago. She's been in a kind of rest and recovery mode. She starts her radiation treatment next week, and with a little good fortune, 5 weeks after that, the doctors will tell us we can go home and monitor her closely for the next few years, of course. But that's our hope and prayer that she'll be ready to go home by late March.
And that's our thoughts and prayers too.
Good luck.
John, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you both.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
Great Power Pundit panel today. As usual, Liz MacMenamin joins us, Director of Government Affairs for the Retail Association of Nevada, one of our proud sponsors. Alfredo Alonso with Lionel, Sawyer, and Collins, and Marlene Lockard heads up Capital Strategies. Welcome to all of you. My first thing about the State of the Union has to be, and this joke was told to me by Lisa, who works on our staff. She wanted to know, is Harry Reid planning to make Searchlight the Graceland of Nevada? Is that why he brings this up at every occasion?
Planning too. I think he's done it.
He has done it.
Yeah. So we can expect. Okay, let's be serious about this. Obviously, Liz, the biggest thing I would say in the speech, to me at least, was Social Security.
I believe President Bush handled that with confidence. I think his plan is something that's viable. Maybe there'll be some adjustments. However, I think it's something we need to look at. I worry myself because I come in after the date born. I don't have to give that, but I would like to see something that is going to work into the future, and maybe we need to all be looking into the future. It's a bipartisan issue. It's going to affect everybody.
And actually, you'd be a good one to ask this question. How do employers get treated in that? Do they end up now being left without any pressure to put money into retirement funds, or that they do have to put retirement money together?
I think we're going to look at employers having to match maybe some of it, a percentage of it. My employer does now, so I'd like to see that happen also. I have no problem with the employers maybe having to match a little.
Well, I think what you heard last night from both sides is a very deep divide on this issue, and I think it's been the glass ball. It's been juggled for tens of years, and I think at this point, I'm glad it's out in the forefront. The question is it actually broken? Those numbers seem to be skewed. We don't know what they are exactly. The president claims we'll be bankrupt by middle of the century. Democrats are saying that that's not going to happen. I think what we need to do is get the facts together and get this debate going, and obviously come somewhere in the middle.
Well, the thing that I find interesting is that moderate Republicans are also a little concerned about this.
Absolutely.
Marlene?
I think they're more than a little concerned, if you really are following.
I'm the master of understatement. Come on.
Yes. Okay. And I think the president had a good night. I think it was his night. I thought the speech went well for him, and he's actually had a good week with what was occurring in Iraq. I would like to see some, to quote Governor Gwynn here in the state of Nevada, for sure we're going to have some lively debate on the Social Security issue, but I hope folded into that they will take on the Medicare and the Medicaid issue, because with the feds cutting back Medicaid funds, Nevada is going to be impacted tremendously by some of the proposals that are being floated. Likewise, just yesterday or the day before, we learned now they want to take a big chunk of the Nevada land's purchase money back. So again, while tax breaks are going at all different levels on the federal level, Nevada citizens are going to be impacted by that reduction and loss of federal funds.
Scott, one of the things that has concerned me, and in the speech, the president talked about wanting to have fiscal responsibility, cutting back government programs, reining in the deficit. But this Social Security plan alone is going to cost multiple trillions of dollars to get it accomplished.
Well, not only the Social Security plan, but what he's doing with Medicare. And he's going to have to, or Medicaid, he's going to have to decide how much government is going to do, and then he's going to have to establish a plan where he reaches out to the private sector and to individuals, which he's doing now. The Medicaid program and Medicare program, those two alone are costing them more,
right.
Either one.
And either one, that's true.
And
that crisis
overshadows the Social Security
exactly.
issue.
That crisis deadline is way before 2042 with those two programs.
However, I understand the state of Nevada, and listening to our State of the State, our Medicaid department has received a huge influx of funds just through this next coming up budget.
But that's temporary. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue.
Is that temporary?
Yeah,
do you
absolutely.
believe?
I think we're going to have some serious issues with gaps in that Medicaid and how much the state's going to have to make up because of the feds doing what they're doing.
We're increasing the roles.
We're talking to the experts. Scott here knows how that budget works better than anybody at the table here, and that is a huge liability to the state of Nevada.
It is. Real quickly, going back to that land swap money, this idea that the president has floated, he's suggesting that the federal government should get all the benefits from all the federal land sales. Since 1999 or 98, I believe it is, $1.6 billion in revenue has been produced. And
I might have to say my old boss, Senator Bryan's land bill, he's the one that initiated that.
Right. And if the federal government is incentivized to sell off that land, given the growth in the West, I wonder what impact it'll have on the program side, not just on the money side notwithstanding. Any thoughts there?
It would be hard to say at this point in time.
Does anybody want to say water?
Water would be a big issue.
Well, and can anybody say yucca? I think that this could possibly be slightly tied to the fact that we're still fighting Yucca Mountain. I think that there are some issues there as well. Why take that money away from the state in the first place?
That is a really interesting connection. You know, that might be true.
Now, but here's a thought. If you, because this was discussed on the program recently, if the federal government released a lot more land, for example, in the Las Vegas Valley, wouldn't that go toward lowering the cost of housing down there?
Well, that's the whole point. I think the federal government should be doing that. I mean, obviously, the amount of federal land that the feds control in the state is immense. Absolutely. And I think if they want to lower housing costs in the state, that's how you do it. I think it's the right thing to do, and they ought to push forward.
Okay, we've only got about a minute left here, but I wanted to get your responses to Lynn Hettrick and the feeding frenzy that apparently is going to be going on at this legislature as far as this money goes. Liz?
I certainly think he knows a lot more than we do, and I think he has it right on target. I'd like to think that we would look at reduction of, say, the bank tax, but if he's saying no, I don't think they're going to be opening that can.
I think this is going to be an extremely lively debate, and I don't even want to go there right now.
In my past history, some of the most contentious sessions we ever experienced was when there was an excess and a surplus of funds. It's going to get the word of the day, and lively indeed.
And the last thing we can afford is a ballot question initiative. That's the worst
absolutely.
thing.
Well, I'm waiting for the public to start responding, because I think at this point they don't realize what's going on. They're still talking about getting this rebate back that the governor talked about, and when they find out it's not happening, I think they're going to be
well, and
very
people
unhappy.
are focusing on the property tax issue right now. I mean, that's what hits them at home.
Indeed. And we're out of time. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seem to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
Many of the materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And coming up next week,
we're going to talk education issues, consumer issues, and budget next week.
We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.